Supervisor Colfax has related to you. We have rewritten the policy relating to the grand jury and their reimbursement. That's scheduled to come back to your board in January. We've cut back on some of the programs because we think that everyone should be treated the same throughout the county. We have talked through county council to the presiding judge and made our concerns known. They do each year in July have all of their expenditures for their annual training, and that's part of the reason why you see some of the over expenditure at this certain period of time, because it is a one-time expense. But we do have some concerns about how the grand jury is spending their money. They've made arrangements to have meetings on the coast to try and mitigate those expenses. But in the overall scheme of what we're asking county departments to do, they need to get aboard the bus too. And so we are actively involved, and we'll bring back in January some recommendations to the board.
Thank you. Supervisor Delmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Glassy, if you can help me here, I have questions kind of scattered throughout this entire document. At what point do you want to, I don't know if there's still presentation to be made by staff, or if it's
No, we're answering
free-for-all now at this point?
free for all. No, you've got a well-run meeting here.
Okay.
We'll just answer questions.
We'll see if I keep it that way. How's that?
In terms of Exhibit B,
That's a Jennifer question.
this is what I assume is the analysis that I requested in the budget in regard to the WISC. A couple questions to help me understand it.
And these questions might be better directed at Carmel or Jennifer, but ask your questions, and whoever
Okay.
can best answer will.
Sure.
I guess what I was looking for in my request was a pretty subjective analysis of the operations. If we were to move operations from the WISC, dispose of the WISC facility, where would we be? And what I see here is, frankly, not very subjective.
Very objective.
Objective. And that's the part that concerns me, because I think there's some assumptions that have been made here that I'm not sure are valid. One is that the Dora Street facility is at capacity, and I don't think that's the case. And some preliminary discussions I've had with GSA is that there's substantial room there. It may take some finagling, but there's plenty of room for at least a big portion of the needs. The $1.35 a square foot is high from just some quick conversations I've had. $1 is probably more accurate, if not even less, in this market. And the assumption that all staff that we have in Willits is going to be needed to be relocated here. And I'm not sure those are valid assumptions in this analysis. And I'm looking at this thinking, well, where's the other side of the equation? What do we do with the property, the value that it has? None of that's in here. So I'm just wondering if this truly is an objective analysis or not. And I'm frankly, I don't think it is.
Okay.
This is not what I had in mind. So one of the questions I have is, who did the analysis as far as does the executive office do it? The executive office have a hand in it? Was it done internally with HHSA? Did we, where was that done? Who did the analysis? And
Okay, well,
that would help me understand whether or not my faith in that objective part of it is there.
Okay. I would say that the analysis was kind of a collaborative effort among HHSA staff who have access to, the direct numbers on those sorts of things, and the executive office. You are correct in that the analysis does not include a review of what the value of the property is if sold or converted to other uses. So that is certainly something that could be added in relatively quickly, given that it is right next to other public facilities, et cetera. I think that it doesn't have unlimited uses, and as an office space, which is what it's clearly designed for now, its value to other comparable entities might be questionable, and I'd just say that off the top of my head, because there really aren't any other entities needing that kind of office space in that area. But we could certainly add that part to the analysis. In terms of whether some portion of the staff from Willets could be absorbed into the Doris Street facility, that's probably true, particularly for public health type functions, but it really would be better for HHSA to comment to that. The assumption that you would have to find housing for all of the staff up there, that I would say is pretty accurate. All of the staff that are there, certainly I'm more familiar with social services, are in mandated programs, and so they would have to be housed somewhere, and there are mandates in terms of client contact and other things, and I think those are addressed in that. So we can add to it in terms of alternate, the value of that property if sold or used for something else, and then I defer to Jennifer and HHSA to address the rest.
Well, it seemed to me that that's a very huge part of the equation. If an analysis is going to be completed as to is it economically feasible to continue operations, then it would require a full analysis of all the options, and I don't see that here. I do know of one public agency that actually was looking, and if they still are, but was looking for something similar to this as a facility. So, to me, I don't think this is complete. This is not what I had envisioned when I asked for an analysis of this. One statement in here, maybe I'm just reading it wrong, and maybe it's cynicism, but it says this is in regard to, it's a second bullet regarding MTA, but this will reduce client participation and therefore will reduce funding in the various agency functions. And so I kind of wonder is our goal to keep funding for programs, or our goal to try to do it in the most economically feasible manner? If it's just to keep money flowing into our programs, I'm got some problems with that, and that's no surprise. But
Well, you mentioned the option that might be cynical, so I'll say that it depends on the program that you're looking at. But again, what I'm most familiar with is in CalWORKS, the Employment Services Program. If you do not have services available to clients within a certain time and distance, then you end up having to exempt people from employment services. And that certainly is not in keeping with county policy. And so there was a very concerted effort at the beginning of the implementation of welfare reform to make sure that there were services in the outlying areas so that everybody would be able to avail themselves of employment opportunities. So that's an example of one area in which withdrawal of services, yes, you would lose the money funding those services, but more importantly, you would lose the incentives and the support for people to seek employment, and I think that's a real critical factor.
because what I see in this report is, and I was going to say almost it's an either or. It's either we maintain